When we moved to Philadelphia, I was working with a local school district on consulting, and I decided, through advice of council, that I should form a corporation to work on that project and others that might come along. So we chartered or founded the AMIC Group, which is a Pennsylvania Subchapter S corporation. About a year or so after we founded that, it was my wife and myself that were the principal owners. We decided that we would give our daughters a share of that corporation. And so it's now owned by all four members of our family.
Now, after you did this school consulting with the AMIC Group, what did the AMIC Group do?
The AMIC Group, after the consulting, we didn't do much. We did not have a large piece of business until we started working with Patrick Shelow, and we thought we would have a lot of business, which we turned out that the AMIC Group has never made any money in all these years.
Has the AMIC Group invested in any other projects besides projects with Patrick Shelow?
No.
Now, if you, Agent Lyons, if you could blow up what's numbered 1 and 2.
Oh, okay.
There we are. I think if you just blow up 1 and 2 again.
Apologize.
That's all right. All right, we're just going to have to try it one more time.
Yep, I'm not getting the top of it.
Double click on that. Okay, just go wide. There you go. Okay, so number 1, Mr. Aim, if I can read this to you.
Yes.
And I'll ask you a question about it. It says, AGL shall be paid 2% of the total bonus funds received by RFL for the development from the Campo Panacocha oil fields in Ecuador, not to exceed a maximum of up to $4 million. The term bonus funds shall have reference to the common usage of that term in the petroleum industry and not include profits and revenue. What did you understand this to mean?
I've never heard the word bonus funds before. Before I saw this, I assumed that these would be funds that would be available to RFL to actually do this project, and out of that we would be able to receive our fees.
And was your fee going to be 2%?
Yes, it would be.
Now, if you look at number 2. It says, upon receipt of the total bonus fund pool by RFL with respect to the Campo Panacocha oil fields, RFL shall within 7 days pay to AGL 2% of said total bonus funds received by RFL, not to exceed a maximum payment of up to $4 million. What do you understand that portion of this document to mean?
That we were going to get $4 million, up to $4 million. Within 7 days, as soon as RFL had received their funding.
And John, if you could click out of that and just go to the signature block. Sorry, it's 1A. Yep. Just highlight the signature block. Mr. Amick, who is this document signed by?
This document is signed by Patrick Shelow and myself.
And what is the date?
The date is December 21st, 2005. And he signed it, and I signed it on December 17th, 2005.
John, if you could take that down and put up Exhibit 1B, just for Mr. Amick. Mr. Amick, this might help if you look at it in the book. Are you at 1B?
Yes.
And have you seen this document before?
Yes, I have.
And what is it?
This is an explanation written by Patrick Shelow on December 25th that described the project in Ecuador for the drilling project with Satchel Petroleum.
Your Honor, the government would move for admission of Government's Exhibit 1B.
Your Honor, basis for the basis for his knowledge that Mr. Shelow wrote this, sir. You said
You-
Mr.
you
Shelow
object?
wrote- I object, yes, sir.
Mr. Amick, who did you receive this document from?
From Patrick Shelow.
Your Honor, again, I'd move for the
Do
admission
you,
of this
do you know
document.
who wrote it?
It says written by Patrick Shelow.
That's typed on.
And
your
you got
item.
it from Mr. Shelow?
Yes.
All right, well, I'll admit it for the moment as a document received from the defendant according to the witness. I'll overrule the objection.
Thank you, Your Honor. And if-
Now, if the jury, of course, the witness, and just let me say this, and I may interrupt at other times, but I'll try to keep it to a minimum. The witness says that he received the document from Mr. Shelow. The document says at the top, Ecuador oil field operations, written by Patrick Shelow, President. Now, of course, this witness doesn't know that whether or not Mr. Shelow actually wrote the document and put that there, or it's possible somebody else wrote the document and put it there. But for present purposes, my ruling is that if the testimony of the witness that he received the document from the defendant, Patrick Shelow, is enough to admit the document into evidence. But I just note for you that that does not necessarily mean that the witness can testify who wrote it. He doesn't know who actually wrote it. All right, so we'll proceed. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor.
But it will be admitted with that instruction.
Could it be published to the jury?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, Agent Lyons, if you could blow up the top portion and just the first paragraph.
What you want the heading to?
The heading 2 in the first paragraph. And Mr. Amick, are you looking at the first page of the document?
Yes, I am.
And it says, Reserve Fuels Ltd., RFL, signed an exclusive contract with Sasha Petrol S.A., Indigenous Indians, 8 nations, to manage their land holdings in Ecuador. The Ecuadorian government changed the country constitution, allowing the indigenous Indians to incorporate and develop their ancestral lands in a JV with Petroecuador. The total footprint is over 15,000 square miles. And did I read that right?
Yes.
And again, what is Reserve Fuels?
Reserve Fuels is Patrick Shelow's petroleum company.
And when did you receive this document, if you recall?
This would have been received at this time, December 25th.
Now,
That's
if you
when
go,
it's dated. What the exact date I received it, I can't tell you.
Agent Lyons, if you go back to the full document and now go down to the bottom 3 paragraphs. Now, if you skip the first paragraph, Mr. Amick, the second paragraph says, RFL will dedicate its resources to expedite and facilitate all phases of the exploration company's activity. RFL will represent the indigenous Indians in all aspects of the development project, including but not limited to pipeline development, right-of-ways for roads, maintaining high ecological standard, verification of production volumes and quantity, pipeline tariffs, and market price received for royalty share. RFL hired Mr. Peter Vickers and Frank Thomas to manage this project. Did I read that correctly, Mr. Amick?
Yes, you did.
Okay, did you ever meet Peter Vickers or Frank Thomas?
Not that I'm aware of.
And if you go down to that bottom part, it says the Amick Group, represented by its president, Ted Amick, was instrumental in introducing RFL to agents of Sasha Petrol in subsequent signing of the RFL-Sasha Petrol Agreement. And if you go to the next page, Agent Lyons, and blow up the top 3 paragraphs there. And the subsequent signing of the RFL-Sasha Petrol Agreement. For this introduction, RFL signed an agreement with AGL to pay AGL 2% with a maximum of $4 million of the bonus funds received by RFL for development of the oil field. RFL believes we will have first disbursement of the first week of February. Did I read that correctly?
Yes, you did.
Now, did you ever receive any money from this project in the first week of February?
No, we did not.
If you look at the top, it says Petrol and the subsequent signing of the RFL Sasha Petrol agreement. Did you ever see an RFL Sasha Petrol agreement?
Yes, I did.
And when did you see that?
That was, I don't know the exact date. I was in December
Of
of
2005?
2005.
If you go to the second paragraph, it says RFL and its management have again been invited to Ecuador to finalize the agreement with Petroecuador and the Ministry of Energy. Second payment will be complete as soon as final D&D is finished. Mr. Amick, do you know what D&D is?
I would assume that's due diligence, but I don't know for sure.
And finally, it says third payment and its mechanism will be established after we finish D&D. We anticipate paying AGL a quarterly fee for 5 years. AGL will receive payment as a consultant assisting RFL and its management in managing certain internal functions of which has not been determined. What did you understand when you read this?
It looked like he was asking me to play some sort of a consulting role to RFL, and that we would be paid a fee for doing that.
And when you say he, who are you talking about?
Mr. shelow.
And Agent Lyons, if you could go out and just go down to the last paragraph before the line. Yes. And it says, just a side note, during my meeting with the Minister of Energy, he stated, Mr. shelow, by signing your joint agreement with Sasha Petrol, you have made history, and history will be made in a very positive way for the indigenous Indian generations to come. Did I read that right?
Yes, you did.
And finally, Agent Lyons, if you go out and go down to the acid sales, that paragraph. Mr. Amick says, acid sales, Esmeralda Refinery has given RFL a verbal approval to purchase a test quantity of acid enhancer for the refinery in Ecuador. We expect to have this purchase order in place in January. RFL will advance payment for the samples and 2 engineers to travel to the refinery in Ecuador to run tests. Where it says acid sales, do you know what this is talking about?
Yes, I do.
And what is that?
This was a product that was introduced to me by Alex Lamba of Montreal, Canada. He had a company in Hungary or Romania, one of those countries, that had an acid that was to help the refining of crude oil. I can't tell you exactly what the benefit was supposed to be. Mr. shelow had agreed to introduce the product to the people in Ecuador. There was a request for engineers from that country to come to help explain the use of it, and they never came over, and the project died.
And Mr. Amick, was this the same or was this a different project from the Ecuadorian oil project?
This would be a separate project.
Did you ever contribute any money to the acid sales project?
No.
Okay. If you could take that down, Agent Lyons, and if you could put up 1D just for the witness. Your Honor, we might be having a technical problem with one of the jurors' screens.
What, it fell down? What happened to it? Is it working?
It works. It's just
All right. Can you go look at it? thank you.
Multitasking.
Should I have somebody come up when we have a break? Okay, all right. All right, when we take our morning break, we'll have somebody come up and take a look.
Mr. Amick, are you at Exhibit 1D?
Yes, I am.
And have you seen Exhibit 1D before?
Yes, I have.
And if you could just briefly describe when you saw it.
This is a document that was dated May 10th. It would have been sent to me at that time by Patrick Shelow.
And what kind of document is it?
This is a document that explains division of fees.
Well, Mr. Amick, is it an email?
Yes, it is an email.
Your Honor, the government would move for admission of 1D.
No objection.
And Agent Lyons, if you could do first, if you could just blow up the very top part. Mr. Amick, do you see that top part?
Yes.
The from is Reserve Fuels, PJ Shelow at reservefuels.com. It was sent Wednesday, May 10th, 2006, 7:28 a.m. to Ted Amick, and the subject line is Ecuador. Did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
Now, was it common for you to communicate with Patrick Shelow by email?
Yes, we did that almost every day.
And now, Agent Lyons, if you could blow up the middle part of the text. And Mr. Amick, I'm going to read this and I'm going to ask you some questions about it. First, it says, where is your second email you mentioned? Now concerning your fees, we are expecting 520, 50% to PE and Indian Nation, 260, one half off the table from the get-go, 130 left. I am thinking of giving the AGL a number, 2% and the balance to the investors. St. Joe 20%, RFL 30%, Sigma percent, question mark, Chinese Investment Group 20%. What do you understand we are expecting 520 to mean?
That would be, I would interpret that as being $520 million as payable fees by the project.
And what project would that be?
This would be for the Ecuadorian drilling project.
Below that it says 50% to PE. Do you know what PE is?
I would, Petro-Ecuador.
And how do you know that's Petro-Ecuador?
It's a term we had used in discussions
And when you say we, who are you talking
with Patrick Shelow and in correspondence.
With Patrick Shelow?
Yes.
Indian Nation. What does Indian Nation mean to you?
That would be the indigenous Indian nations that would be related to this project in Ecuador.
And it says 130 left. I'm thinking of giving the AGL a percentage number, 2% and the balance to the investors. What do you understand that to mean?
That of the $130 million, he was looking at giving me 2% of that.
And who is he?
Patrick Shelow.
Now down there it says St. Joe 20%. What is St. Joe?
St. Joe Trading is Patrick Shelow's company.
It says RFL 30%. What is RFL?
That is a company of Patrick Shelow that markets petroleum.
And who told you that it markets petroleums?
Patrick Shelow.
Now it says Sigma percentage. What does Sigma mean?
He told me that this was a Saudi investment corporation.
Who told you it was
Patrick Shelow.
And they were going to get a percentage of this deal as well?
That's what he told me.
Now, Agent Lyons, if you could go back to the full email. Mr. Amick, you see that this email is dated May 10th of 2006.
Yes.
So it's about 6 months after the last document we saw dated December 25th of 2005.
Yes.
What happened with respect to this Ecuador deal between December of 2005 and May of 2006?
I was told by Patrick Shelow that near the end of December, the contact of Bowman was not doing things that pleased the Ecuadorian government, and that that the Ecuadorian government was going to cancel working on this project.
Did Patrick Shelow tell you anything about what happened after that?
he told me that that the project had been canceled. A period of several months went by, and then I received a phone call from Patrick Shelow, and he told me that he had been contacted by the Ecuadorian petroleum people. I can't tell you specifically who. He told me that they wanted to work directly with him on developing the project.
And did he tell you whether the people you had spoken about before, James Bowman and Nick Terzi, were they going to be involved?
He told me that they would not be involved in the project.
And finally, Agent Lyons, if you could just go back, if you would, to 1D. Sorry about that. And just click on the bottom signature block for Patrick Shelow. And Mr. Amick, you see that?
Yes.
Patrick Shelow, Reserve Fuels. Was this an email address or the address of the company that he commonly used?
Yes.
And it was in Fort Lauderdale, Florida?
Yes.
If you could take that down and put up Exhibit 1E just for the witness. Mr. Amick, have you seen Exhibit 1E before?
Yes.
And what is it?
This is a letter from Patrick Shelow to my wife and myself stating that after we had invested new monies with him, that we would now own 10% of a new corporation that he was forming to help manage the new effort in drilling with the indigenous Indians in Ecuador.
Your Honor, the government would move for admission of 1E.
Any objection?
No, sir.
All right, a minute.
And Agent Lyons, if you could blow up the top and just the text of the email. And Mr. Amick, it says, Ted and Louise, this will be the new entity that we spoke of. You will be the proud new owners of 10% of the full value of the new company. The LLC may be changed to Corp, depending on our accounting firm's requirements. And it says it's from Patrick J. Shelow, St. Joe Trading Company. What did you understand when you got this email?
That we're now have invested and will now have a ownership in the actual management company for managing the overall drilling project in Ecuador.
And, Your Honor, if we could put up 1F for the witness. Actually, before we do that, Agent Lyons, Mr. Amick, do you see where it says attachments on that email?
Yes.
Okay, and it says St. Joe AGL PE INV 01-2006, and it looks like there's a document attached. Do you understand what that is?
Yes, I do.
And what is that?
That's a invoice that we received from Patrick Shelow for $100,000 to purchase our initial ownership in this new corporation, which he founded to called JAG Corporation.
Agent Lyons, if you could take down 1E and put up 1F just for the witness. And Mr. Amick, have you seen 1F before?
Yes, I have.
And if you could, without going too far into depth about the document, what is it?
This is this was the first invoice that we received from Patrick Shelow from his company, St. Joe Trading, for $100,000 to purchase 10% of JAG Financial.
Your Honor, the government would move for admission of 1F.
A minute.
And Agent Lyons, if you could first blow up the top and all the way down until St. Joe Trading Company, the bank account information. And Mr. Amick, you see this. It says, purpose, for the purchase of shares in JAG Financial LLC, total share amount is 10% of the total value of shares issued, invoice amount $100,000. And what does all this all mean?
that means that we bought 10% of JAG Financial Corporation from Patrick Shelow's for $100,000.
And this information that's in the middle there, St. Joe Trading, P.O. Box, and it says Wachovia, and there's an account number. What is that?
That is the mailing address for St. Joe Trading and the account number that we wired the money to.
Okay. Did you pay this invoice?
Yes, we did.
And did you send Patrick Shelow $100,000?
Yes, we did. We wired that to him.
And when you say you wired it, if you would just explain to the jury, what do you mean?
We had our funds with Solomon Smith Barney in Washington, D.C., and we gave them an order signed by my wife and myself, it was a joint account, to have them actually transmit the money by wire to his bank in Coral Springs, Florida.
Agent Lyons, if you could take down 1F and put up 1G for the witness. Mr. Amick, have you seen this document before?
Yes, I have.
And is this another email from Patrick Shelow?
Yes, this is headed JAG Financial and Reserve Fuels from Patrick Shelow.
Your Honor, the government would move for admission of Government's Exhibit 1G.
Good with it.
And Agent Lyons, if you could blow up everything down to the Patrick Shelow, actually just blow up everything, all the text on it. Thank you. And Mr. Amick, when was this email sent to you?
This email was sent May 22nd, 2006 at 4:35 p.m.
And who was it sent by?
This was sent by Patrick Shelow to us.
And that's his email at reservefuels.com?
Yes, it is.
And it says, Ted and Louise, St. Joe Trading owns 30% of JAG. I'm selling one third to you, representing 10% of the LLC. 10 shares, as there is a total of 100 distributed. St. Joe Trading, again, what's that?
This is Patrick Shelow's company.
And so what did you understand this email to mean?
That of the 30% of JAG that St. Joe Trading, it says, owns, he was going to sell 1/3 of that to my wife and myself, to our corporation.
And at this point, what did you think JAG was?
I was told by Patrick Shelow that the Ecuadorians wanted a separate company in the United States to actually handle the funding, the financial aspects of the drilling project, and that that company would receive a fee for doing that.
And did you understand at this point who owned JAG?
I was told that this company was owned by St. Joe Trading, by Reserve Fuels, and by Sigma Zug.
Agent Lyons, if you could put up 1I just for the witness. Oh, sorry, Agent Lyons, 1H. Sorry about that. I don't know why I was confused. Mr. Amick, do you see 1H?
Yes.
Is this another email from Patrick Shelow?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, the government would move to admit 1H.
Admitted.
And Mr. Amick, what is the date of this email?
May 23rd, 2006,
And who is this from?
from Patrick Shelow.
And he says, Ted and Louise received the $100,000. And what is that referring to?
He's acknowledging that he received the $100,000 that we sent to him
For what?
for the purchase of JAG Corporation.
Agent Lyons, you could take that down and now put up 1I.